So if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking, should you become a New York City real estate agent? Now, I am a real estate agent. I have been for over 5 years now. And I do think that after many years of both success and failure, I can definitely give you my full opinion on what I think. I don't like to ever sway people one way or another because I think that people always need to make decisions for themselves. And I also think that anything in life, but especially a career decision, is such a personal decision for you. And I don't think that there's a definite answer for everybody, but I do think that there's a couple things that you need to be aware of before making that decision for yourself. I think a lot of people go into real estate and see things on TV or social media about people making all this money and being really successful and being in all these really cool properties. And what I need everyone to understand is that is about less than 5% of the time is what you're seeing on social media. That's the glamorous part. But 95% of the career is made up of extremely boring everyday work in an office just like this, where you're basically working just like you are in any other job on your business every day. That is 95% of the role, and the 5% stuff that you see through pictures, video, and TV is 5% of the fun stuff. And you have to remember, in any career path, there's always going to be a 5% fun stuff that you're doing, right? Any career path. It's just that in real estate, I feel like that 5% is so glamorized and everybody thinks that that's going to be there every day, all day, when really that's like nothing. And that's why it's on TV, is because that's the 5% of their entire career. So most of your everyday is going to be on the phones, on your computer, in your email, going through documents. Like, that's going to be most of your day. And a lot of people get into real estate not truly understanding that. I don't even know if I truly understood that when I first got into real estate. So I got my real estate license at the age of 24, and I did have sales experience before I got into real estate. So I guess it wasn't as big of a shock to me that this is a sales career, but I feel like some people go into real estate and they see themselves kind of doing these showings of these incredible properties and basically pointing and being like, oh my God, isn't this so amazing? But they're not truly understanding that real estate is sales. So you have to learn how to sell. That is the most important skill set you can have, is selling. So if you have no sales experience at all, you're going to either have to learn to have sales ability or rely on natural sales ability, which most people don't have, and that's completely okay. But it's definitely a sales-based career. So you're going to have to learn how to sell. And let me tell you, you would think that places sell themselves sometimes. That is definitely not the case. Like, you will have to 100% learn how to sell. And in my opinion, I've worked in other types of sales as well. I think that real estate sometimes can be one of the harder sales careers to have compared to other sales careers. That's just my opinion over the years of doing this. So it is almost guaranteed that you will not get paid a lot of money in the beginning. Back when I started real estate many years ago, the average salary probably at that point in Manhattan for somebody who of my age was probably anywhere between like $50,000 and $75,000, maybe. I would say that my first full-time year in real estate, I want to say I made $18,000. And I've heard worse stories. I've heard of people making like $8,000. I've heard of people making like $3,000. Like, you can't live off of that money. So maybe $18,000 is like good, but at that time it was like devastating for me. When I started off in real estate, I was literally selling everything I owned because I was just trying to figure out any way I could make rent. So I was doing whatever it took to not give up on real estate, but be able to like actually live and pay rent at the same time. So I was doing so many different side hustles just to be able to make it and really be able to continue launching my real estate career. And that was such a sacrifice. I definitely wouldn't be here now if I didn't do that back then. But at the same time, like, it was a grind back then. It was an absolute grind. And there's so many people who just aren't willing to make those type of sacrifices in the beginning. And those are the people who typically quit the industry because they're just in it for the glamour, and it's not glamorous. Like, that was not a glamorous period in my life, that's for sure. In real estate as a whole, when you're getting started, a lot of people will tell you to go into rentals. And especially in New York City, other agents or brokers will tell you to go into rentals because it's quick money. And yes, that can be the case. I did start in rentals as well. And you can definitely get quick money because a lot of people are coming to New York City and they are looking for a rental now and they want to make a move now. So that could be quicker than a typical buyer or seller transaction where it typically takes over 2 months in New York City, if that, because it takes a lot longer to buy a property here in New York City than it does to basically buy it in anywhere else in the country, I would say. So it is definitely going to be quicker money. However, I don't really like people working as a rental agent for very long in the beginning because I do think that it prevents you from moving on to the next stage in your career as well. And so many people have this mentality that for a year, 2 years, or even more, that they have to work as a rental agent, which I think is not the case whatsoever. You can always figure out a way to be able to help people on the rental side while still scaling up your buying and selling business, because you'll get caught in basically like a hamster wheel just working rentals your whole life because it's extremely time consuming. So you definitely need to have a balance of doing rentals to be able to pay the bills if you need to in the beginning, while also then figuring out how to start scaling the buying and selling side of your business. And I know that sounds like a lot, and I can't break it down in this video of how I would do that, but I'm going to have a lot of other content kind of relating to how I would recommend doing that in your business. And I would know because I definitely did it wrong in the beginning and spent too much time on rentals when I could have started making that transition to buyers and sellers quicker. Now, I definitely wasn't the person who was doing rentals for years and years and years, but I still think that even just a few months of focusing solely on rentals was too long, and I could have made that transition sooner to incorporating buyers and sellers in that. So another really popular thing in New York City real estate, but really real estate across the whole nation at this point, is joining a team when you get started. Now, I do recommend this. I didn't join a team right away, but I did end up joining a team a little bit later on. And I recommend doing this right away because when you're working on a team, you're learning from the people running the team and then also the peers that are on the team with you. So you're literally learning from everybody involved and you're kind of like sharing your experiences, because real estate can be an extremely, extremely lonely career in the beginning, because you would be coming from a workplace where you were in a 9-to-5 job on a team, even just had some type of community working together. But real estate, you get your real estate license after you pass the course, you sign up with a brokerage, and then they go, okay, here you go get business. And if you're not on a team, you feel like so alone. And I knew that real estate was going to be lonely going into it. I actually knew that because I didn't have like this crazy glamorous like perspective on this career. But at the same time, even though I knew it, I still thought it was so incredibly lonely in the beginning. So I run a real estate team with my husband, Tom, now. But in the beginning, I did real estate alone for years before Tom started doing real estate. So I always joke to him that I was like, I had to go through all the hard stuff while you just walked in. It was all nice and easy for you. But it kind of was the case because he never had to go through those years of working alone in real estate and being lonely and feeling like you're building this big lonely business. So I do think that eventually when I joined the team, that did kind of help because it was a bunch of other people that were kind of going through the same thing I was. And then we could also learn from who was running the team as well. I love when I hear people getting into real estate because they want a flexible schedule. This is hilarious to me because it can be flexible, but in the beginning, while you're trying to build your career, if you care about making money, it is not flexible in the slightest because you have to be available at pretty much all times to either prospect to get business or serve those clients and bring them to properties or go to their property. So it is not flexible at all in the first couple of years. And if somebody's watching this video and has cracked the code on making it flexible in their first few years of real estate, good for you guys. I would love for you guys to share your experience because this was definitely not my case, especially in New York City, because people want to see properties at all different times of the day and people have just very different schedules than they do in other places outside of New York City. So I just don't think that New York City real estate is really considered a flexible career. I guess when you get to a certain point in your career, you can kind of like create your own schedule, which I do. So to this day, I am still working in my business. And because of that, I work a lot. I definitely don't work less than I did in a 9-to-5 job, that's for sure. So I think that people come in with these expectations that it's just going to be this flexible career where they can just get up and work whenever they want. If you want to make money, definitely not the case. So a lot of people ask me if they should go into real estate part-time. I get this question all the time. And actually, when I first started, my intentions were to go into real estate part-time. And I did, but not for long, because I actually don't believe in being a real estate agent part-time. So real estate is a very, very hard career to get off the ground. And when you're doing that part-time, your chances of making it as a real estate agent and being able to survive as a real estate agent are extremely slim. So the failure rate as a part-time agent especially is absolutely horrible. As someone who went in part-time, I would not recommend it. I transitioned to full-time as soon as I could because I knew that I was never going to make it as a part-time real estate agent. It was basically a complete waste of my time. I would recommend that you can go into real estate part-time if you intend to transition to full-time within at least 2 years. Because if not, if your intentions are to always work as a part-time agent, it's a complete waste of time. I don't think that the money that you could get every so often is worth it at all. So I would not suggest this as a part-time career unless you are trying to figure out a way to transition from part-time to full-time. And I also want you to know that in that time that you're trying to transition, it's going to be very, very tough and you might feel like giving up at times. But if you can get past that hump like I did, then it's going to be so incredibly worth it for you long-term. I hope this video did not scare you from becoming a New York City real estate agent because I've been a real estate agent for years and I do love this career. But there are a lot of things that people don't know before becoming a real estate agent and things that people just don't even think about. So a lot of brokerages don't talk about these things before you join the business. So it is something that I kind of want to share with you guys, especially share with you guys specifically about New York City too, because I think that being a real estate agent in New York City is different than being a real estate agent really anywhere else in the world. That's just my opinion. I've been an agent in and outside of New York City, so I know from both sides of the coin here. I would love to hear from you guys. Are you thinking of becoming a New York City real estate agent and why? As always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments.